This lecture is about context-free languages and context-free grammars. So currently we know about NFA, DFAs, and regular languages. And while we have not defined them yet, we also know about Turing machines, which are just programs. So think about a regular program, which is very general. And context-free grammars or context-free languages are in the middle, and they are defined by push-down automatas. Push-down automata is essentially an NFA with a stack. I would later on define it more formally, but for our purposes we care more about the languages that they generate than about the computation model. And essentially it's a middle ground between a general program and regular languages, and it's already a very powerful set of languages that is extremely useful and used all over the place. Let me just mention that computer programs can be taught as NFAs that have two stacks. So somehow giving an NFA one stack, where it can push values on the stack and pull values from the stack, one stack makes it much more stronger, much more general than a regular language, but still not quite enough to get to the power of a general computer. Okay, context-free languages, by the way, which are usually written as CFL or CFG, if you're speaking about the grammar, are used all over the place. They're used in programming languages, they're used in parsing, they're used in natural language processing, and a lot of other places. And the basic idea is that you can put a grammar. Now, for example, for programming languages, the second stage in compiling is essentially parsing the program, right? So the first stage of a computer program, the compiler reads in the program and breaks it into tokens using regular expression, essentially, you know, this is the number, this is the command if, this is a string, etc., etc. And the second stage is to parse the language, right? Generate the logical structure of the program, which is hierarchical and look like a tree. And this is really what context-free languages do. Or context-free grammars, they let you take a linear structure and induce a hierarchical structure on it, which is what we want for programs. So this is an example of such grammar. They are also used in, you can use them also for natural language processing, right? Here is a grammar, of course, a small grammar that try to capture the English language. And, this you need so that you can analyze text, right? So you want to understand what part of the sentence, what is the verb, what is the noun, what is, what can be dropped from the sentence because it's a side comment, etc., etc. And context-free grammars let you do that. And they were kind of the basic tool that people used for this. In reality, natural languages are not quite context-free. They're slightly above it. So people in NLP use context-free grammars and, with some additional powers to handle natural languages. And also I should mention that some of the programming languages are not context-free. So C++, for example, is Turing complete. So just reading a C++ program and compiling it is already an undecidable problem, which is kind of mind-boggling. But most programming languages, if they're simple enough and well-defined and not a monstrosity like C++, are in fact context-free, and parsing them is not that difficult, especially nowadays because we have all those tools. So that's that. And then you can use also context-free grammars because they are so good in describing trees. You can use them in modeling natural phenomena like the growth of a tree or growth processes in general. and you can also use them in art. They're used in art and several other places. But in general, when you want to describe something that have hierarchical structures, context-free grammars are a natural thing to use, right? One way to think about it is that whenever a tree is a natural underlying structure to use, then context-free grammars or context-free languages would be a useful tool to have.